You can't talk to this person.
That's right. That's right.
You can't, don't act like you don't understand why your marriage ain't working. And it does take two people. You gotta listen, you gotta shut your mouth sometimes. And sometimes you wanna say something and you justified in saying it. And this is a little caveat for just a moment. He had to have emergency surgery.
2017.
Yeah. And it scared me to death. Scared me. And when he came out of surgery and he was still intubated and he was laying on the bed, and I remember hearing him breathe. And God said, he just showed me the times that we had argued. And he said, if I had taken him then, would it have been worth it? What you argued about, would it have been worth it? He snores sometimes. He used to snore real bad.
Sometimes.
Welcome to today's episode of Relationship Talk with the Geths. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, click the subscribe button so you won't miss the new content when it drops. For many people, parenthood becomes a central part of their identity. When children leave the nest, parents may experience significant shifts in their roles and a sense of loss. This can lead to uncertainty about who they are and who they are with their day-to-day responsibilities of parenting. And married couples have to rediscover, what their new normal looks like. So our guests today are a beautiful display of loving, booed up, empty nesters. Dr. Kendall and Kristie Ruker are here to share with us how they're able to do it. Let's dive in. So we want to know how it all started. When did you meet? How did you get together? And how long have you been married?
Right off the bat.
Okay, the question is, do you want to know the truth? Or do you want to know what one of us says happened?
All of it. I want
Both of them are the truth.
Both versions. I want both versions.
This is the version I like to tell.
Okay.
All right. We've been knowing each other forever, though. I mean, from kindergarten all the way up. She's a year young. Oh, yeah.
The building blocks phase?
Yeah. We've been knowing each other forever. But she was a year younger than me, grade lower. And you know how that is. You go up through the grades, and boys, it seemed like we didn't date younger. And anyway, that long story. But anyway, what happened was we both graduated, from Hart County, and then we went off. She went to Georgia Southern, I went to Mars Hill, and we've graduated and gotten into our career. So I was living in South Carolina. She moved back home, and I came to visit my parents. Came down and went there, and then on the way back to South Carolina, and I took this, and I usually didn't go this route. I usually hit Savannah Street, take a left, and get on, where Ingalls is, and get on 29 and head on up. But this particular day, I went towards Enmark, where, what is it? Starbucks.
I said Enmark is old school.
Yeah. You gotta be from Hartwell to know. But anyway, we went up there where, presently Starbucks sit there, was Enmark. Then went up there, and I don't know if my brother was up there or somebody, but when I pulled right there at the stop sign, I just happened to look across there. Didn't need any gas. I looked and I saw.
And now the truth takes a turn.
You agree up until this point. Okay.
All right, here we go, man. You see. Lord said when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. So I found her. I started off by saying that, but anyway, I happened to look across and I saw her, and I was like, woo. I wasn't looking for a wife at the time.
Right.
All I saw was eye candy.
Absolutely.
So here she coming from the gas pump. No, she went to pay, and she was walking back towards her car. And I'm like, ooh, who in the world? So now, let me just throw this. I had a 1988 Cadillac Brougham.
Okay.
Brougham. Dark chocolate. And when the sun hit it just right, it had a dark cherry color to it. Anyway, peanut butter interior, I loved it. Spaceship. So anyway, when I saw her walking back to her car, you have to wind it.
Whip it around.
Wind it. Wow. So I pulled up in there.
You gotta get in her view.
I'm telling you. So
in
I
that
jumped
vision.
out.
Oh, you got out the car.
Yeah.
But see, back then, you know, when you hunting back then, you know, confident. So I jumped, and I was so confident. Man, I had on some ball shorts and a shirt. I didn't care what I looked
What
like.
you look like,
I
yeah.
just cared about what I saw.
What you saw.
So I pulled in and I jumped out, and I looked. I said, "Chris, this Starks." She said, "Hey," and you know, she had got in the car by that time, and I walked up. How you doing? We did the little, you know, the introduction and everything. So where you heading out to? So she's going out on a date. That's why she's looking so fly. So she's going out. So, and I, you know, determined that, and you know, me and my boys, you know, we were going out to New Orleans to see the Falcons and the Saints play. You know, we were going out there that next night, and so I just told her. I said, "Look, when I get back from New Orleans, I'm going to take you out on a date." I didn't ask.
You just said it.
I am confident.
Yes.
I am going to take you out.
This is what we doing.
And she, when I threw it out there, she grinned real big and smiled and beautiful like
that.
Yeah. She smiled.
Might be some truth to it.
But then Maya, she reached over to her seat, and I'm like, "Oh Lord, what'd I say?"
Uh-oh.
So she reached into her bag, you know, and she's all organized. So she pulled out this nice little memo pad, you know, flipped the thing.
She ain't add you to the calendar, did she?
Not the little
Calendar, put a name. That's when we used to give numbers back then. They have phones. Right,
Yes,
right.
I know that.
One no phone, one no, you know, locking it in.
I remember those pads.
Just
You
keep
know.
in mind, a few minutes ago, I said the truth took a turn.
But it was, she was, you
It's her
know,
little black book. She better
her
add you
black
to
book, right.
the cute little black book.
Right.
You are.
Man, you gonna make this thing take off talking about black books. But anyway, she did the, you know, the Thomas Jefferson sign, you know. Put her information on there, and then she ripped it out, zip,
I like this.
and then she popped it over to me. I was like, wow, you know, yeah, I folded it up, you know how we do. Put it in my pocket, you know, I see when I get back. Rest is history for real. After that, we've been together just,
25 years.
25 years, just about, every day. Black book, I had one too. And just like the song, and that was our wedding song, one of our songs, You by Jesse Powell. You. But anyway,
Yeah, I heard
he had a black book. Y'all see the video
He's
back
sitting
then?
there.
Y'all see the video? That was me. I was just throwing away. I looked at my black book, gone. I'm done.
So you went to New Orleans, you had no pressure because you weren't trying to pick nothing up.
No.
You knew
I
you
just
were going
going
back
straight to the game, have fun, and come back.
Come right back. You know
And
that,
that's
you know
where it's
that.
been ever since.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Now, what do you have that?
That's the truth.
That was pretty much the truth. It's just very,
From your perspective,
it's very colorful. Very colorful.
were you super interested even at that point, or were you just like, we'll see how it goes?
Well, like you said, I've known Kendall. We've known each other forever, and our grandparents knew each other. They lived one street over. His aunt and my sister were best friends in high school. So I've always known of him, and he's always known of me. We ran track together, was on track team together. We just never.
Well, I got a question. If y'all was grandparents with one street over, did y'all not play outside with all that touching and rubbing and touching growing up?
So you didn't feel like that.
I didn't see it. Right,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, it's something when they have on that certain thing, and that certain light hit.
Yeah.
Because, growing up, all the kids are outside playing kickball or basketball.
See, I saw her at school, but she's a gym, so she was kept. You know what I'm saying?
They didn't let you be all out there like that.
That's right, and I'm glad she did. Mama kept her.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see her growing up, not at the street and everything. And I didn't find
Praise
out about
God.
all this until later on.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang, your grandma said, oh, yeah.
And then
you
he and my
heard?
mom worked together at the hospital. And ironically, this is a little tidbit. He would tell my mom, I'm gonna marry your daughter,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yes.
Long before
time.
we ever connected, he would just tell her, just to aggravate her, I'm gonna marry your daughter, right? And she's like, no, you're not.
Speak those things.
Speak into existence.
Where's our power?
So there we are.
They do. They do. All right. You guys have one son.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, you guys have done an amazing job of raising him. I mean, he is what everybody wants their son to be. And for those of y'all that don't know their son, his name is Cayman Rucker, a.k.a. the Butcher. And he appropriately named. Just completed his senior season on the football team at the greatest university in the land. You know what it is. You know what it is. The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Yes, sir.
And he's a beast on the field. My son knows because he's on the defensive side. My son's an old lineman, and he says, "Man, I hate when we got to do reps." When Cayman's his one-on-one partner, and he's a scholar, he's a leader, and just an overall respectful young man. We are all very proud of him here in this city and in our household, and I know you guys are too. So the question becomes, how'd you do it? What are some of the parenting strategies that you use to raise such a fine young man? And we got a little one ourselves, so we taking notes.
I think one of the main things, and just talking about how our families were so connected even when we didn't know, he and I both consciously made the decision that we wanted our children to be better in every aspect. Be better financially than we, be better educationally, be better, professionally, be better than us. And that's not like self-deprecating. We just wanted, him to be better. Yeah. And at the time, we didn't know how many children we were going to have, but we just knew that we wanted to provide them with better.
Yes.
And
no, I just want to add to that. You're right. Also, just setting a standard. And modeling the behavior that you want to see. As simple as like when we had disagreements, we would talk through them, but we never argued in front of him. I can honestly say that. We've never argued in front of him. He's never heard his mom and dad cuss at each other. He's never heard his mom and dad call each other outside of names, Kendall and Kristie.
He's about to be 22 years old, and he doesn't know what that feels like to wake up and hear mom and daddy screaming and yelling, and he doesn't know what that is. And we intentionally.
Right.
And so, not to say there was no disagreements. Just made sure he wasn't.
And we let him see how that played out.
Yeah, because that's important too. We wanted him to see, okay, real life people don't, I love him, but I don't always agree with him. He loves me, but he don't always agree with me. But we wanted to make sure, like you said, he didn't
have to be a part of it.
Your daddy is a dummy. Your mama is a, he never heard that. He never, and
that's
so.
Good.
Right, and we said, like the standard involved God, the way he set up everything.
Absolutely.
The way the man is the head of the household and the mom is the helpmeet and those type of things. But it wasn't to the sense of daddy was barking out orders, being a dominant, authoritative figure that ruled with an iron fist. It's a partnership.
Right.
However, when you line up with the word of God, things tend to just take care of themselves. She submits to me, but that doesn't mean she takes my orders.
Man, come on.
But she does that to me, and she does it, and she's always done it in front of Cayman. So he knows what that looks like. He knows what it looked like for his dad to take control and to take over and say no. But he also knows how to see daddy go to mom and say, look, what do you think we should do in this situation? So now as a team. So, I mean, we just set those standards before he got here, and we just maintained them while he was here. And to actually live out something, you don't have to talk to him about it as much. Sit him down and say, okay, son, you do A, B, C, and D. He's catching it because he lives it and he feels it. So the examples in front of him, now he mimics what he's seen. So I just think, in a nutshell, without continuously to talk about it, is you have to set up your standards from day one. And that's what we did. Right, very intentional.
Be intentional. And we would try to be transparent with him. As age appropriately as we could. When we struggled, we didn't protect him from that. We did, but we also didn't, man, we just ain't gonna be. But we let him know, look, the power bill is twice as much during the summer. So that new game you want probably ain't gonna happen until later because we gotta take care of this. And when we had disagreements, we made sure he saw how we resolved them. And not to set it up like we did everything perfectly, but I think even when we messed up, we dropped the ball, we made sure he saw how we picked the ball up and kept advancing.
That's right.
Everybody gonna drop
big.
the ball, but
That's
we
big.
wanted him to see, okay, and not even, we weren't trying to be sporty, you know,
right.
but it was like, when you drop the ball, you go back, you pick the ball up, and you keep advancing
on
down the
going
field.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you know, you're gonna get stuck in that. So we try to be intentional with just showing him better.
Gotcha.
Where's y'all standing on discipline as far as, you know, timeout, spanking?
Oh, he got his butt whooped. He got his butt whooped.
Tell him about it. It still hangs behind the door.
Okay,
Not the belt behind the door.
because his grandbaby's coming.
You're right.
The grandbaby's coming at some point.
Absolutely.
You see this? This is, but what we did do is, like, Cayman, and you know, we're all in the educational system at some degree.
Right.
You know that every child is different.
Right.
So every child doesn't require the same teaching and instruction.
We just talked about that when I came. Yes.
So-
two totally different.
Yeah, and Cayman has always been a heart, like just a caring, loving child.
I can see that.
From the time he came into this world, he has been like that. So Cayman, you could give him one of these, really? And it's like,
He draw back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
you could give him, like, if you yelled at him, that broke him. Like, ooh. But he got the three paps. He got them.
Yep.
And we always made sure that when he did get a whooping,
No anger.
we took a minute to calm down first.
Oh, yeah.
We
That's
never
big.
whooped him when we
big.
were
When we were angry.
at the height of anger. And it always wound up that we were never angry at him at the same time.
Same time.
So whoever was
So he always had an advocate.
Wow. that's
Whether
big.
it was, you know, he had done something that his daddy told him not to do. Now, that also didn't mean that I was like, you shouldn't whoop him in front of him.
Yeah.
But we talked about it, and it was like, you know, he did this, and I had told him not to. Okay. But it wasn't
And it
the
was
both of us
unified
ganging
front,
up
right,
on him, but it was, look, you did this, and you know what's going to happen. There's a consequence.
But the funny thing about that, we would talk about this while he was sitting right there. So he's like, oh, God, I'm not going to get out of this. But they're talking about what's getting ready to happen to me. So it extended the whole consequence for him to sit there and listen to it all. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so yeah, he got his butt whooped.
He's better because
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah. And it was simple. It was very consistent. Put your hand on the bed, stand up. I got there's an old leather belt that I cut off halfway.
Oh,
And you get 3 poppers.
And that's it.
That's
It wasn't a
three.
continued, you need to understand what you did. And no, it was, here you go. Here's your punishment. This is why. Now, what we going to do next time? What we going to do? Next time you do what we told you to do. Next time, don't lie to us. Next time, it's better to tell the truth. Next time, don't hide that. Next time, don't, you know.
Yes, you explain to him. It won't just a whip and then walk out the room.
But we had
curse
to
him out like that.
talk about it. Like, we would literally talk about it. Like, okay, look, now this the third time he done, you know, and we would do that before we got in front of him.
Right.
Because we didn't want to come in there, well, look now, we ain't going to whoop him this time. You said we going to whoop. No, not like that. Yeah.
That's good stuff.
But I will say this though. I mean, I tell, you know, people, they'll say things like, what do y'all do to him? You know, because they revere, you know, his personality, his attitude, and the character that he has.
Right.
But I like to say, look, we don't like to take the credit. God just blessed us with amazing son. He's always been like that. I mean, it's like, you know, that's why his story is so similar to David and Goliath. He is just that humble kid that he's content with just being over here. He's content with being on his own. He's the only child. He's content with being at home with his parents. He never really had a wild hair to get out there and the trial. He was always just content being at home.
Not an entourage guy.
No, he wasn't. And so that made it easier.
And we made him feel like a partner.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, like, he understood that it was like, okay, y'all are my parents. We're not trying to be your friend, but we included him. It was always, you saw Kendall, you saw Kristie. You saw Kristie, you saw Kendall. But if you saw Kendall and Kristie, you saw Cayman. He gonna be somewhere. So we made him feel like a partner, and we talked about stuff like.
And it's still like that to this day, you know. Even in his drafting, all this, getting ready for the NFL and all that stuff. We just had this partnership, teamwork, this management team that we all talk to each other, and nothing, break the inner circle. So, I mean,
Good stuff.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love it. And Kristie, you're a nurse who has recently made a shift to working in the school system. Did you work at a hospital? It was a hospital or a doctor's office?
Honey, after 25 years, I've done just about everything there is to do in nursing.
All the places?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, Kendall, how long have you been in the school system?
Going on 16 years.
Right, you're an administrator now,
Yes, ma'am.
but you've also been a teacher and football and track coach. And so when you were not on a school schedule and Kendall was teaching and coaching and working super late hours and getting all the advanced degrees and writing books and Cayman was involved in all the extracurricular activities, like where did your marriage fit into all of that?
So like I said, our marriage is not perfect, but it has been amazing and great.
Smile at me like that, man.
I mean, did she do it? I felt it.
I'm trying to keep both my hands up here. No, but it's funny that you asked that, because the one time that I can say that we struggled is when he was getting his master's.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Cayman's been playing football since he was 6.5.
Yeah.
I think we slid him on in there.
Oh, yeah.
Kendall has been coaching since then. So football's always been a part. So from July through hopefully December, it's football every day. Every day. So then you add in, he's getting his master's and he's writing papers all the time. Then you add in the fact that he was he's working full time. I was working part time, but I was working 12-hour shifts. And so we were always passing, or we would be at a football game. And so when he was getting his master's, I still remember we were on the back porch, you were grilling.
Yeah.
And we just had this moment of like, what the freak are we doing?
Yeah.
This right here ain't working. And it was then that we talked
Intentional.
and came up with that word for our marriage. That's our word for our marriage, intentional. So no matter how many papers you got to write, and what he wound up doing was being intentional. Okay, I got to write this paper, but I'm going to intentionally write it after we've spent time together. We know Cayman's football schedule, so we're going to intentionally find time to be together as a family. We had to be intentional. I chose days to work that were intentionally days that he already had something. Cayman already had something. So it wasn't pulling me from them. But it was hard because we were just passing. We were roommates. Basically. We were roommates and we were shuttling our child back and forth. And then we were like, And it wasn't, people talk about managing time. You don't manage time. You do the best you can with the time you got. Because he had to do the schoolwork.
Yeah, you got it.
He had to work. Cayman had to do what he needed to do. I had to do what I needed to do. And so in those 24 hours, the best you can hope for is to be intentional with them 24 hours you got.
And I praise God for that moment, because when you live in life, you don't think about things. You kind of think about it in a vacuum of how you prioritize things, not really I wasn't thinking about Chris's priorities, wasn't thinking about Cayman's priorities. And I'm like, look, y'all, I got to get this work now, shut the door, that kind of thing. I got to get this paper. But God knows how to speak to us in many, many, many different ways. And I just remember even before we had that conversation, I remember Dr. Brown, I was in her class, and she said, if you're writing a paper, and she said, and you just come to a stalemate, she said, get up. Don't sit in front of that screen. You'll spend an hour, 2 hours sitting in front of a screen trying to come up with another sentence. She said, just walk away. And I never forgot her said that, but I know that was God speaking to me through her. And so when we had this conversation, it just like, that's it. And so from that point on, I don't care how simple it was. I would be in the room, and Cayman was young then, so he would come in like, Daddy, let's go outside, let's go. And I remember I used to say, look, hold on for a minute, and that hold on turned into I never gotten around to it. And it went from hold on to a minute to, all right, wait a minute. Pause, shut it, boom, let's go outside and play. She said, all right, I'm gonna run the store right quick. Okay, I'm gonna go with you. Boom. Right. And I just found that when I did that and I met her needs and I met his needs, then they left me alone to take care of my needs.
Take care of your needs.
You know, and I learned a valuable lesson at that point. And from that point, that became the standard from that point on, you know, and it gave us wisdom on how to prioritize things. And see, from now on, we talk about this, and I've told Cayman and his girlfriend, because I don't know where they're gonna go, you know, but I tell them, if y'all are gonna get together, first of all, be equally yoked, you know, you gotta be walking in the same direction. Second of all, this is how you prioritize things. Put God first, family, then your career.
That's
So your career can encompass what you do on your job, or if you're in school, you know, advancing your degree, or whatever the case may be, that needs to be underneath the family. And so we learned that by, you know, getting a little swift kick in the butt, but I'm glad that, you know, God taught us that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Man, with that, I'm so glad that y'all already had really good communication skills built in to have that conversation. That conversation where you might be feeling neglected and you might be feeling neglected. When people come together, they bring anger to the conversation and then it blows up. Or they sweep it under the rug and they don't have it and they meet their own needs elsewhere.
I think it was. I think we did do that. I don't want it to sound like we were like, Kendall, I feel so neglected. Where are you? You know, it wasn't like that. It was, there were nights where Cayman and I would be sitting at the table eating and I'm fuming. I'm like, this son of a gun. He said he was going to be finished or he got to go do film study on Sunday and we can't, And so there was like this time of like, it was beginning to just stew and just sit and you're like, and then the smile becomes less, and the more tension I have, the more tension he has, and the more tension he has, and then it trickles down to Cayman, and it's like, at some point you have to talk to yourself, like, do you want to stay married? Do you?
Yeah.
If you do, then you need to open your mouth. This is the person. I can't be any closer to anybody else.
Right.
I can't.
Right.
He knows more about me than anybody else breathing on this planet. So I can't tell him, and don't go in there with okay, look, I'm sick or tired, okay? But go in there like, babe, look, something got to change, and him too. And so if you don't ever get to that point, then stop acting like you want your marriage to work. If you can't talk to this person.
That's right. That's right.
You can't, don't act like you don't understand why your marriage ain't working. And it does take two people. You gotta listen, you gotta shut your mouth sometimes. And sometimes you wanna say something and you justified in saying it. And this is a little caveat for just a moment. He had to have emergency surgery.
2017.
Yeah. And it scared me to death. Scared me. And when he came out of surgery and he was still intubated and he was laying on the bed, and I remember hearing him breathe. And God said, he just showed me the times that we had argued. And he said, if I had taken him then, would it have been worth it? What you argued about, would it have been worth it? He snores sometimes. He used to snore real bad.
Sometimes.
And, yeah. I was trying to cover you, baby. That's a whole nother. We can have a whole nother talk about that. He took snoring to a whole nother. But and it would just, I'd be up in the middle of the night like, golly. But it was like him laying in that bed and I could hear him just gently starting. He was cranking up. But it was like, is it worth it? Like, is it worth it for you to fuss about this if I take him now? Would everything that you had, and for me as a wife, and I know sometimes we talk about, submission, and it gets a negative connotation, but it's easy for me to submit to him because I know he's gonna protect my heart.
That's right. That's right.
And so when him laying on that bed and hearing that, Like, what if when we argued about whatever, his shoe being in the middle of the bedroom.
Because it's going to be there.
Yeah. And you ain't felt pain until you done hit a size 13, 14. That pinky, but anyway, I think.
She reliving that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my toe just hurt. I think for me as a wife, it puts some things into perspective as well. And I think as we've been together 25 years, we've been married 21 in May. It just puts some things into perspective. Is it worth it? The things that you're arguing about, like, is it worth it? Is it worth your marriage to argue about who washed the daggum dishes? Is it worth the end or the collapse of your marriage because he left the papers all out on the table? Or because she went to Walmart and bought $20 extra worth of stuff? Is it worth it?
Peanut husk on the floor.
Don't do that.
But transparency, right?
Absolutely.
And I love salt and shell peanut.
Yes, he
gracious.
does.
I probably can outdo an elephant for real. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
He's not joking.
I'm talking about a bag. I'm popping. Pop.
Right.
And I'll be at a game and I'll pile them up by my feet. I love them. Be sitting on them after a while. But I'm at home and I tell her, I'm like, look, baby, I'm going to make a mess. And it tears her up. Now, she's like real organized and stuff. And I'll just be popping, husk be flying, and it's on a carpet and she'll be looking like this. And as soon as I'm done, you're going to get that up. And I know it bothers her. And sometimes I get it, and sometimes I don't. I keep watching the game. But she's learned how to give me grace through that and won't say a thing. Because she know at some point I get up and I get it, but it may not be to her timing.
For more information about our coaching services, courses, marriage tools, events, and getaways, go to onevisionerc.com. That website again is onevisionerc.com. If you had a good time hanging out with us and you got something out of it, go ahead and subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Like it so we'll know you enjoyed it, and share it with somebody so they can be blessed too. We'll see you next time.